You've reached Conversation with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Apostilla. Thank you for listening. Let's get right to the episode. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Apostilla. So for this episode, I have another guest, Lee Escobar. And so he works as a contractor for the federal government. For starters, Lee, thank you for being part of this episode.
Sure. Thank you for having me. And just a quick correction, I write contracts. I'm not a contractor, but I write contracts for the government.
Sorry, my apologies. My apologies about that. So you write contracts for the government. Can you explain a little bit about what it is? What exactly?
Sure, absolutely. So what I do is we take our wonderful taxpayer dollars and we are the stewards of that money and we use it to purchase things that the government needs. And in my case, I work with the Department of War. So a lot of those funds are used for our national defense.
What first got you interested in working?
Well, interestingly enough, I was a soldier in the Army, and my first job was actually a dental specialist. And then I figured that there wasn't quite a future for me. I'm 6'3", 250 pounds. There wasn't quite a future with me in dental unless I was a dentist, and I was not a dentist. So the opportunity came available for me to change my job within the military to write contracts for the government. I thought it was exciting because it takes me to all over the world. I worked with Special Forces and I worked with different units. I've worked with the Marines. I've worked with the Air Force. So it really broadened my horizons in the military, and that's what made me change over to it.
How much of your job involves writing versus negotiating?
I would say 95% is writing and maybe about 5% is negotiating. It's a very small portion. It really is. And that's because we have set rates. We have specific parameters that contractors are aware of. So the negotiation part is just very brief part of it. A lot of it is writing.
Okay. How important is attention to detail in your line of work?
It's critical. It's very critical because if you don't pay attention to where that decimal goes, you could be obligating more or less than what you're supposed to. And if you're not paying attention to who you're sending that money to, you could have actually broken some laws. So it's very important that you pay attention to detail.
I would imagine it's a little bit high stress.
It can be, depending on what kind of work you do, especially if it's something that's in my current mission, it can be high stress because we do repairs for like the B-2 bombers that we're currently using in our wars in Israel and not Israel, Iran. So sometimes when those planes go down and need repair, we have to pretty much rush to get that fixed.
Wow. What's one contract or project for you that really stands out?
Well, I would say when I was deployed as a soldier and I was in Afghanistan, I was in charge of building a school for the Afghan people in Afghanistan. And even though I worked just a portion of it because I was only in country 9 months and these construction projects last for years, I was lucky to be at the tail end of it and I got to see the benefits, the fruits of everybody's labor on that one.
What do you feel like was the most challenging contract that you've ever had to manage?
I would have to say the most challenging, I would say if you would consider high stress challenging, I would say when I was in Afghanistan, we had sniper screens put up to prevent snipers from attacking our personnel on the base, and they were not functioning very well. And so we had to rush to get another contractor because the first contractor, believe it or not, ended up getting caught by Al-Qaeda and got killed. So we had to find another contractor to put him up, and we had to do it quickly before we became sitting ducks out there. So that was pretty stressful.
Leading up to that, what's the closest that you've come to making a major mistake, and how did you handle it?
I would say, the biggest thing that can get you in trouble in writing contracts is anticipating what's going to happen. If you don't stick to the facts and you anticipate something's going to happen. For example, you anticipate the specific contractor is going to win the contract, and you start kind of catering to that contractor, and it turns out that they didn't win it. Now you've committed a couple of crimes, actually. And so you have to stick with the facts, and you have to let it unfold. Otherwise, anticipation is going to bite you in the butt.
I would imagine communication skills are very important, very, very critical.
Absolutely, because you have a lot of stakeholders when it comes to contracts. You have the program managers, you have the customers, you have the contractors, you have the government. We're all working together to try to figure out how to get these contracts quickly, because there's a lot of bureaucracy. So we're trying to get everything that we need as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Which leads me to the next question. You mentioned the bureaucracy. What have contracts taught you about people?
I would say that what they taught me about people is that you have to kind of you're definitely a problem solver. You don't want to upset people and tell them, no, you can't do that. You have to not only tell them that, but you have to say, hey, there is a way to do it, just not the way you want to do it. And so you have to be able to manage expectations. So you have to end up becoming a very people person.
How do you build that trust with people?
Well, always be consistent, always be truthful and honest. And a lot of times there can be fraud done with government contracts. So as long as you keep your nose clean and you're straight, you dot your I's and cross your T's, and you show that in your work and you show that in your relationships with the people that you work with, you tend to build a lot of trust.
What do you think? What's something taxpayers would be surprised to learn about the contracting process?
I think they would be surprised that the government just buys the cheapest thing. I think that's one of the things that the taxpayer thinks. However, we don't go by the cheapest price. We actually do best value a lot of times, and that's to make sure that the government gets exactly what they need, but not the cheapest thing that's going to break within a month or two. So like that, so that there's longevity.
What safeguards are in place to prevent that waste and fraud? And
There are a ton of checks and balances. Not only do we do peer reviews of our contracts, legal counsel has to look at your contracts. Policy holders also have to look at our contracts. And we also have to report everything to Congress, which is how DOGE is able to look through all the contracts. There's one computer base that has all the data of all the contracts that we write. So it's accessible by Congress. So there's a lot of checks and balances.
so I'm wondering, for your first year when you first started, was it a little nerve-wracking at first? The very first year, you're brand new to the field. Was it a little scary?
It was absolutely overwhelming. It's so much information, and there's so many ways that you can get in trouble. You kind of get a little bit of analysis paralysis. However, once you realize that you can't absolutely know everything or become an expert in contracting, you can become an expert in a specific aspect of contracting. And once you work on that and become an expert in that, then you can slowly expand on your knowledge. But don't try to learn it all and know it all in the beginning, because you'll be overwhelmed.
For you, what do you feel like some of the rewards with what you do, writing contracts with the government?
I would say twofold. One is that I get to save the taxpayers money while we complete our mission. And the second part would be that I was the boots on the ground before, and currently I work on repair contracts for equipment that we need to keep ourselves alive. And I have been the boots on the ground where I have been functioning with faulty equipment. So I think it's very rewarding that I'm able to be on this side now, writing contracts and make sure that our troops on the ground have all the equipment that they need to stay safe while they're accomplishing the mission.
Now, for a young person or even someone, an adult or my age, what advice would you give someone that's interested in entering the government contracting?
I would say go for it. If you're interested in doing government contracting, the basic thing that you need is a bachelor's degree to get in the door. As a matter of fact, my coworker is a doctor. He's a chiropractor, and he quit doing chiropractor work just to do what we do. He took a large pay cut and his wife is a scientist who worked on developing vaccines for COVID, and she also quit her job just to do government contracts because of the reward that there is, plus the work-life balance that there is. I mean, it's a very rewarding job as well. So,
Is there any, and I'm thinking for like younger kids, any entry level positions that you'd recommend so they could kind of get their feet wet?
yeah, absolutely. So if you're fresh out of university and you want to do a career in government contracting, I would say the Air Force has a very good program called the Copper Cap program. And once you can Google that information and put in your application and send in your resume, and start making phone calls. I believe that's the best way to get in. Now, if you're already a little bit more seasoned, all you need is your bachelor's degree, and you can start as a contractor, filling in those positions, and then once a government position becomes available, you can transfer over.
How has your work shaped your perspective on leadership?
I would say that my work has made me think critically and problem solve, and you have to kind of take charge of your procurements. And a lot of times you sit in the briefing, hire people above you like generals and senators and things like that, and so that really builds your leadership skills, because you can't sit up there and not really know what you're talking about, and you have to also be able to manage personalities and manage people as well. So it's a great tool or a great way to develop your leadership skills.
Now, I would imagine there's a lot of rewards with the job. Imagine, of course, it probably is use a lot of mental energy and taxing. How do you balance between professional and personal life? Like, how do you keep yourself going?
Take time off. You earn that PTO, take it. I tell you, the work is never going to stop. So you have to take mental breaks. You have to use your leave. I know coworkers who have built up so much leave and use or lose, and they're stressing themselves out. I highly recommend that you take your leave. Don't build it up like that. Use it.
What motivates you to keep growing professionally?
Well, the fact that laws are always changing, and in this field, you never become an expert, really, honestly. And you have to continue to educate yourself on what the new laws are, what the new rules are, and it keeps you on your toes.
For yourself, what do you feel like you're the most proud of in your career?
I would say the fact that I can, like I said earlier, I can take care of the boots on the ground and make sure that they have everything to keep themselves safe while they are keeping us safe back at home.
Now, for someone who would possibly be interested in writing contracts for the government, someone might be wondering about the pay. How is the pay in general?
Well, depending on where you're at, I would say a lot of entry-level positions start at about a GS-9 for a bachelor's, GS-11 for if you have a master's degree, and that's comparable pay. It just depends on where you're located. Here in San Antonio, I think a GS-9 makes around 60,000 a year starting, and then GS-11 makes around 70,000 or 75,000. But it all depends. I mean, I know in Washington State it's a little higher. So
Yeah, very.
yes.
So this one I'm gonna have some fun. I do this word association game, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you some topics. They're very random, just one or two word topics, and just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. For example, here's an example. The running joke with all the listeners is I have a strong dislike for pickles. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear pickles?
Hamburgers.
Okay. Okay. Cool. How about barbecue?
Ribs.
Okay. Fast food.
McDonald's.
Okay. Sports cars.
Mercedes.
Oh, yeah. I like that way of thinking. All right. Okay. How about romantic movies?
Oh, I wouldn't say this is a romantic movie, but the first thing that pops up to mind is 50 Shades of Grey. It's not really romantic, but that's the only thing I could think of. I don't really watch romantic movies.
Oh, let's flip the script. How about horror, slash, and gore movies?
Probably, what's it called? Saw.
Oh, intense.
Yes.
Intense. Rap music.
Ludacris, one of my favorite rappers.
Okay. All right. Country music.
John Party.
Okay. Bad hygiene.
While you're putting me on the spot here, the first thing that really popped up in my mind was British people and their teeth.
Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. How about this? Bad breath.
Ooh, coffee drinkers.
Okay. All right. All right. How about Volkswagens?
Hippies.
Okay. Let's see. How about soap?
I think of like perfumes, like great fragrance. That's the first thing that popped into my mind when you said that.
All right. Rude people.
Buttholes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A few more. How about WWE wrestling?
Oh, Hulk Hogan.
Ah, yes, the Hulkster brother. Yes. Yeah. MMA.
Oh goodness, we were just talking about him. Oh goodness, what is his name? Conor McGregor.
Okay. And one more. How about mud pits?
Mud pits.
I'm just making it up there.
Not sure. Mud pits, probably like a race, like a competition. Like, what do they call those? Mud. I forgot what they're called. Yeah,
monster trucks. There's monster trucks. There's a whole variety.
Yeah, that would work too. Yeah.
Okay.
Monster trucks. I'm thinking of like big old Broncos.
You know what? Let's go for one more. How do you say big pickup trucks?
Oh, just like my Ram 2500 diesel. That's what I like.
There you go.
That's what I'm thinking about.
There you go. So anything, any final words, anything you want to tell our listeners as far as maybe writing contracts or just any last piece of advice in general?
I would say if you're really interested in doing contracts, I would definitely look into applying. The Air Force has a great entry program, but all the other services as well do it. And it's not just limited to the military. You can also do contracts for the FBI, the CIA. There's a lot of organizations, the NSA, a lot of government organizations. So I would just say go for it.
All right. All right. Thank you, Lee, so much for your time. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And that concludes this edition of Conversations with Mr. A with Mr. Lee Escobar. Well, I got to say, writing contracts for the government, I give Lee a lot of credit. I mean, that, from what Lee was describing, that is a very, very tough job. I would imagine the attention to detail is precise, but it sounds like the rewards are worth it. And so thank you so much, Lee, for your time and for doing this episode with me. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you next episode.